So, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us here at the Vancouver International Film Festival. It's been a while since we caught up based on your last film, which was One Big Happy Family in 2010, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, lots changed. Tell me about what's going on and what you've brought to the festival this year.
Great. So right after I finished One Big Happy Family, I basically started work on Mixed Match, which is the film that we're presenting, or world premiering at the Vancouver International Film Festival. And it's taken us 6 years to actually get the film finished, and it's 2016. And we're really excited that we have a hometown screening and it's the world premiere, especially in a place like Vancouver that's so diverse and multicultural. Mm-hmm. And a film like Mixed Match addresses some of the needs that we need for more mixed race and multicultural people or mixed and minority groups to join bone marrow registries.
Perfect. Tell me about some of the special guests that we have here today.
Well, we have the stars of the film. These are the stem cell family. If people see the film, they'll understand. We actually use a lot of animation in the film to help sort of convey the medical terms and some of the procedures and kind of what it involves having a stem cell transplant. And so our lovely, talented animator Kaho Yoshida actually created these characters. And so we've been sort of using these to kind of help people understand a little bit more about the sort of importance of stem cell transplantation and donation. It has nothing to do with blood. It's about, the stem cells that are rich in basically transplanting an immune system. As well, we have Athena Asklipiadis, and I'll let you introduce a little bit about what you do and how you became involved in the film. Is that cool?
That's perfect,
awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess since 2009, I've been kind of an advocate for patients, trying to get more mixed race people on the registry. I'm mixed race myself, and so I was unaware that my kind of heritage had anything to do with health. And I met a patient named Chrissy Kobata, who we actually tell her story in our film, and I didn't know about the topic. I didn't know how life-threatening it was really, or it could be when you don't have a match and being mixed race or being a minority, how that could really change your odds in surviving. So I started Mixed Marrow with her in mind and other patients like her. And my background is in broadcasting, but I'm not a filmmaker, by trade. So I kind of wanted to find someone that was, that was well-versed in mixed topics, but also that was a filmmaker. And so I kind of just pitched this wild, random Facebook message to him because I was aware of Jeff's success with, One Big Happy Family. And so I knew his interest was in mixed kind of topics. And plus, his animation was amazing and his film was really well done. So I just didn't know him, just sent him a message, and here we are, and
best friends 6 years later.
He's had to put up with me all this time traveling
North America, many car rides in LA.
Yeah. So and I was really fortunate to find somebody that was so concerned with the topic once he knew about it as much as I was, not about becoming some big famous director and taking this as a money-making kind of, I guess, opportunity, but more for the passion of the advocacy and trying to save lives.
Absolutely. And I understand, so the screening was last night.
Yes.
And how did that go? What was the reception like?
Well, it was great. We had a really packed house at the Rio Theater, and it's a big theater. Yeah. But it was great. It was funny because we handed out branded tissues at the beginning of the screening because it's a sad film, but it's a hopeful film. And I even kind of cried last night, and I've seen the film 500 times. But it was funny because at one point you could hear the crinkling of people unwrapping these tissues, and that's when I kind of knew, the people were starting to feel emotional, invested in the film. And at some point, that's all I could hear were these crackling tissues. And so we kind of knew that the response was people were really getting engaged with it. They were feeling that emotional sort of connection to the film. And even afterwards, tons of people came up and said, "Thank you for making this film. It's so important. We need to get this film in educational markets like schools and out there into the public so they can take that call to action." So I really think the response last night was phenomenal, and I think it was better than I could have imagined, and just really impressive that we had two of the subjects come up, Alex Tung and Alexandria Hernandez, and Alex Tung actually donated, he received cord blood in the film, and Alexandria donated her bone marrow, and just to have them there and present, and having the audience have the ability to ask them questions. It was just magical, right? I think you could do you want to speak about, Alexandria telling that story and just I was crying on stage, and the audience, I was looking out, and the lights were on them, and I could see the pupils, the little white, getting bigger and bigger because they were welling up with tears. And so I think, having that, people were really invested in that, and they it was one of those kind of Q&As where nobody got up either. Like when the credits rolled, everyone stayed in their seat and they were glued, and we had a little reception afterwards, and tons of people came because they just wanted to talk to you, Athena, and talk to Alex and Alexandria. So remarkable, best world premiere I've ever had.
And I'm just guessing that a lot of people really don't understand how bone marrow transplants work. I mean, have you had a lot of reactions around just, we had no idea, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think when Athena approached me, with this topic, I had to do a little research because I was like, I didn't quite get it. And not a lot of people do. And I was asked in 2007 to join the registry to help a young gentleman at SFU at the time. And again, that was one of those things where I was like the average population where I didn't get it. I'm like, what does this have to do with ethnicity? What does this have to do with, what does it all involve, really? And I was kind of like, I'm kind of busy and I don't really get it. And so I didn't join. And I'm part Japanese and Caucasian. And the gentleman I was asked to sort of join the registry for to possibly be a match, he was part Chinese Caucasian. So he was mixed. And so until Athena approached me, I didn't really know a lot. I knew about it, but I didn't really understand it. And so I did more research. And I think these 6 years that we spent on the road talking to the top scientists and doctors really helped me understand an understanding for it. And that's where I think a lot of the reaction from the audience last night was, I had no idea either, and I really want to help now. And that's great. They want to take that call to action. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are like, yeah, it was really informative for us.
A lot of your films, Jeff, you touch on personal topics and, mixed race ancestry being a very consistent theme. Was this film any different since it wasn't, directly your story? What was that for you as a filmmaker? Yeah,
I think I've always focused very much on my own multiraciality, right? Because it's about identity. And I think a lot of people in this day and age, multi-ethnic people are one of the fastest growing demographics. And so I want to make media that kind of reflects the experiences that we have. One Big Happy Family was obviously about why all my Japanese family married, Caucasians, and kind of what happened and why 95% of all Japanese are marrying outside the community. Well, with Mixed Match, it was different in the sense that now we're dealing with patients who, because they are mixed, are struggling with trying to find a bone marrow match. And so it's sort of like your identity now presents a challenge because this is life-saving or life-threatening topic, right? And I think this is why when Athena approached me for the idea, I was like, hey, yeah, this is kind of great because it stays along the lines of the work I do with multiracial sort of media and topics, but at the same time, we have the ability now to actually do something really important, right? And spread this message and get it out into the world and basically kind of educate people as well as entertain them and engage them. And so I think it works really well with my mandate of trying to create media that obviously does explore identity.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just a fitting last question to put out there. If people do want to get involved, what can they do?
Yeah, I think, like I said, in Vancouver, if you're having a child at BC Women's, look into umbilical cord blood banking, which is basically set through the Canadian Blood Services. And it's a new program that's been there, but you could donate your cord blood of your child, which is just medical waste, anyways, to a bank, which then is usable by anyone in the world, essentially, and especially for Canadians. Now, obviously, if you're 17 to 35 in Canada, you can join One Match, which is the bone marrow registry. Yeah, I joined, and I was a little reluctant because I'm like, I don't understand this either, right? But I did, and like I said, we were able to donate our baby's cord blood. So I feel like at least, I've learned about this topic through this film. And I think when people watch the film, they're like, wow, I get it now. Yeah. I finally understand what's going on. And like, you see all these news stories online, like the CBC was covering a lot of patients in Vancouver, a little boy in Richmond, or out in Toronto, there's a boy, Ari, who's looking for a match, and they're both mixed, and they're having a heck of a time finding a match. And so the news stories only go so far. Whereas this film really expands on this and really helps break it down, the science. And we talked to the guy who invented the HLA tissue typing, to try and match people. He's now since passed away, but the guy was 80 years old, Dr. Paul Terasaki. So at the same time, we were really lucky to get, the doctor who first, did the first double cord blood transplant in the world, right? So we had some great, people teaching us about what this is. But I think at the end of the day, there is that call to action, and people can go to www.mixedmatchproject.com. On there, we filled 200 hours of footage, and we've cut together a bunch of like vignettes and little short docs about, with all the extra footage, all the stories that could make it in the film, really. And we'll be adding more and more footage to that over the next few years, because there is a ton and more subjects that we've covered. So there's a great, and you can go there to actually find out where in the world your registries are and where you can join and how you can take a call to action.
That's great. Well, Jeff and Athena, thank you so much for telling us more about the film and really what people need to do to get out there and really make a difference. Thanks for stopping by. We wish you best of luck with the film.
Thanks, Devon.
Thank you.